Hey, this is Aaron from SaaS Hero. I'm going to show you really quickly, or as quickly as I can, how you can create amazing professional looking ad creative with free and virtually free online graphic design tools. So there's three specifically that I use for creating ads, or that I've used in the past before I had a designer that could take care of this stuff for me. But when I was first taking on clients and building ads for myself, and as bootstrapping and trying to conserve as much cash as possible, I decided to just try to work my way through this and figure it out. And so, after a lot of trial and error and using most of the tools that are out there, I've narrowed it down to really just three that you need in order to achieve really great results to create high converting ad designs and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go through inspiration on this video. I'm not going to show you like all of the tips and tricks that I use to go and find other ads and other companies that are advertising to see what they're doing to try to get the creative juices flowing. This will basically just be walking through the steps to show you how I go from scratch to build an ad and then actually launch it for a Facebook campaign. So the three tools that I use are LunaPick, Canva, and Banner Snack. Both LunaPick and Canva are free, or at least Canva has a free version, which is really powerful. And then Banner Snack is only 12 bucks a month, so it's more than worth it. Basically, I kind of crunched some rough numbers, and to create one ad maybe costs you 15 cents or something like that. So ultimately, it's pretty much free. If you were to pay a graphic designer, you're going to pay considerably much more than that. So first thing that we're going to do is we are going to grab our assets that we're going to need to create our ad. And the first thing that we're going to need is color, right? So we're going to have to find the hex code. So the client that we're going to be creating an ad for is a company called Voce Software. They create a property tax management software to automate a lot of the processes that go into operating those businesses. And so you'll notice that we have the logo up here, and then also we have this green color, right? And so to keep your advertisements, or your ads rather, all your creative consistent, you're going to want to have the same colors, the same logo, all of that kind of stuff. And so what we're going to need is the hex code, which is a 6-character string of numbers and letters that will identify a very specific color. So what we're going to do in order to find that is we'll find a section on the website that has it. We will right click and then go down to inspect. And then that's going to split your screen, and you're going to see this HTML pop up here, and then there's this filter box. And so all we're going to need to do is just type in background-color, and you'll see right here, you'll notice the green color show up in this box, and then also the hex code here. So I'm going to just double click that, copy it, and then I'm going to paste it into a note that I have on another screen so we can find it later. And then the next thing that I'm going to want to do is get a high resolution version of the logo, but also make sure it has no background. And so we're going to use LunaPick for that. So I actually already have the logo downloaded. Let me just pull that up here to show you what it looks like. So we have the logo here. It's high res version, right? But you'll notice that there's this white background there, and that will look super unprofessional if you were to put that into an ad, right? Because you might have like a blue or red background in your ad, for example, but then you're going to have like this rectangular box of the logo, and it just looks really amateur, right? And the goal here is to use these tools to create something that looks like a professional did it, right? So by the time this is done and you're executing on your own, you're going to be creating professional ads for your business or clients' businesses or whatever. So we're going to need to use LunaPick in order to get rid of this background, and it's ridiculously easy. So let me show you exactly how that works. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to upload our logo here. So let me just go here. Let's see. I believe it is this file right here. So we'll go ahead and upload that. And now we're going to go to the edit menu and then go down to the last option here, which is transparent background. And then we're just going to click anywhere. We don't need to do anything other than just click anywhere on that white background, and you'll see that it automatically removes it in an instant, right? And a key indicator that a background is removed from an image, like if you're ever looking at Google Images or something like that, if you see this gray checkered background, that means that there's no background, okay? And that if you were to put this on any other like solid colored background, all you're seeing is the logo and this text here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, right? So now you'll see what it looks like. So let me just pull that up here, right? So now we have this gray background, and we'll just label this Voce logo no BG, right? And I'll put that on my desktop just so it's easy to find. All right, so now we have our hex code, we have our high-res logo with no background, And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to grab some other assets, some images that we're going to use in our ad creative. And so just to give a little bit of background on what we're going to be grabbing and why, this software, Voce software, and most B2B software, which is the majority of our clients at SaaS Hero, is these companies are designing products that are built to reduce the amount of time companies need to take operating their business. So manual data entry and stuff like that. Like Voce software will automate a lot of the things that property tax managers typically need to do manually, like generate invoices and contracts and billing and things like that. So it automates that, which will save them time, right? And then the next thing they'll be able to do with that time is basically reinvest it into revenue generating activities. So they'll spend less money doing menial type tasks that can be automated through the software, and they'll make more. So the goal is reduce time, increase money, right? So time saved, money increased. And so what I want to do is create almost an ad that has like a formula, right? And you'll see what that looks like, and it will match perfectly to the ad copy that we're going to use. And that's the whole goal, is to create something that looks professional but is also consistent and really gets the point across, right? And is impactful, and ultimately will drive conversions or whatever KPI you're looking for from your ad. So we're going to be using this for Facebook, and Facebook single ad dimensions are 1200 pixels by 628 pixels. So for the images that we're going to want to get, and in this case, we're going to look for two specific things on Canva. We're going to want them to be smaller than that, right? So we're not going to want to use like Facebook ad, because then our one image will supposed to fit like completely in the middle here, where we only want it to take up just a very small piece of this 1200 by 628. So I'm going to use custom dimensions, and I'm actually going to use like 250 by 250 should be good. And then we'll go ahead and click design. It'll open it up in another tab here. And then you'll see there's a ton of different options. We can search for like all different types of stuff. They have pre-built layouts. They have different formats that you can create your ads or your graphic design creative in. But what I'm looking for specifically on Canva is an illustration of a clock and the illustration of some money, right? Because we want to show time down, money up, right? That's going to be the theme of our ad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in clock here, and then you'll see that we have the option of having all of the different types of creative, right? So illustrations as well as actual photos, but I just want an illustration. I don't need photos, so I'm going to get away from that. And then you'll see that a lot of them are free, right? And if they're free, they're labeled free. And if not, they'll just be $1, right? So some of these cost $1, which is totally worth it if you're going to create an ad that you're planning on spending like some real money behind. So, the Canva is awesome. It makes it super easy to find assets like this, and they're obviously really, really affordable. So the clock that I like is this one right here, right? So you'll see it's like a nice high-res image. Move it, make sure it's right in the center so you see the crosshairs line up, right? So it's perfect right there. I'm just going to go ahead and download this, and you're going to want to make sure you have a transparent background, unless you want a white background, but in this case I do not. I just want the picture of the clock. So we have our clock downloading, and then we'll see what that looks like here. All right, so we'll open that up. Let me just drag it over. Okay, so now we have our clock. So we'll just call it clock. Again, I'll put that on my desktop here. Let's replace that. Okay, cool. So we have our clock. And the next thing that we want is we want money, right? So let's just search for money. Okay, look, money. So again, same thing, all different types of creative, different designs, different design styles. I mean, you can go nuts with this stuff, and you can change the colors too. So like, let me get rid of this clock here. I'll use this one. Let's say I could change, actually, you know what, and this one I can't change, but some of these images you'll be able to put them in here, and like you'll see like it has multiple different colors. I could change that yellow face to a brown face or a green face or whatever color I want. I don't need this image, but I just wanted to show you how that works. So we'll go ahead and we'll take this illustration of money, right, and then we'll go ahead and we'll download this one with a transparent background. Right, now that is just about done, and then once it's done, pop up here, and then we'll see what that looks like. Right, so we have the money here, and then we'll just change this one to money. Let's see. Okay, cool. So now we have our assets, right? So we have the color, the hex code that we needed. We have the high-res background with, or high-res logo rather, with no background, and we have the clock, and we have the money. So we have all the tools that we need in order to put together our ad. And so the next thing I'm going to do is jump over to Banner Snack. And so there's a bunch of different tools out there that you can use to create banners. I always like Banner Snack best because it's super affordable and they have like really good preloaded templates that you can adjust. They also have gradient colors that you can use for backgrounds, which I'm always a big fan of. I think they just pop a little bit more. So we'll get into that, but we'll go ahead and click Create New. And then we're just going to make a single banner. And they have all these different dimensions, right? So they'll preload the size for you, or you could make custom dimensions if you wanted to. But we're going to use social media, and then we're going to do Facebook ad. And so that will load up a 1200 by 628. And then, like I said, they have all these different templates, and they even categorize them. So if you're an e-com company and you sell t-shirts, you know, you could do this, whatever. I mean, they have so many different options. But we're just going to keep it blank for now. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our background. As I mentioned, I like gradients. So they have a ton of different gradients to choose from. So we'll kind of scroll down, and like I like that, but I think I want to do something a little bit brighter. So this will pop a little bit more, right? So I like this nice blue background, but we can use multiple different versions. I like always creating variations, right? So we can test them against one another, but just to keep this simple, we'll just go ahead with this blue background. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to upload our images. Right, so they also have a ton of stock photos and different stuff that you can search through and upload into your ads, but we're going to use our specific assets that we got from both the client's website as well as from Canva. So I already uploaded some of this stuff here, but let's see. So let's find our logo with no background, right? So we'll go ahead and drag that over here and upload it, right? And so now we have our, look, no white background on the logo. It looks super clean and clear, and it looks great up against that nice light blue contrast, good with the green. And like Canva, you can like kind of center, right? So these, you know, guidelines will come up and show you where you're at. But I just want to throw it down here in the bottom right. And again, this is just for brand equity. Obviously, you're always going to want to include your logo, especially if this is for a retargeting campaign. That should go without saying, but people should know when they look at the ad that, oh, okay, there's Voce. I visited their site. I recognize that logo. So you should never run an ad without some kind of logo in there, right? So we'll go ahead and drop that in the bottom right. And then I've already gone ahead and kind of like remove just that V. Basically what I want to do for this ad is I want to create a formula, right? So I want to do Voce equals time down, money up, right? That's what our formula is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of shrink this down a little bit. And we got it. Let's see, are we centered? Okay, so now we know we're centered because we see that red line pop up. And then what I'm going to do, and Banner Snack is cool too because it has the similar functionality to Canva where you can find these objects like arrows and shapes and different stuff that you need. So the first thing I'm looking for is an equal sign. So I'm going to scroll down until I find one because I know there's one in here. Let's see. Here we go. So we just need to turn it, right? So you can just grab this and you can just turn it, make sure it's nice and straight. And then we're going to make it much smaller. All right, so now it looks like a nice, oh, maybe even a little bit smaller now. Then we'll go ahead and we'll put that right next to our V. And I'm going to change this to a black background, just this equal sign, okay? So now we have V equals, and now we're going to go back to our images, and I have the clock already loaded in here, right? So we'll go ahead and just shrink that down a little bit. So we have Voce equals time. Perfect. And then we want to say time down, right? So we want to go back and we want to find more shapes, right? So we want to find an arrow. So let's find an arrow. This I think is perfect, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll just turn that so it's facing down, right? So now this arrow is facing down, and then here is where our hex code that we got off of the client's website is going to come into play. So let me show you how that works. So we have this gray arrow, but obviously we don't want it to be gray. We want it to be green. Right, so it's matches, so it's consistent. So let me go back over to my notepad, copy this hex code, and then I'm going to click on the arrow. I'm going to click the little palette up here, and then I'm going to just copy this hex code right here, hit enter, boom. Now we have a green matching arrow, right? Looks just like the V in the logo, right? Again, you have like some consistency, which is pretty critical to creating you know, a good brand presence, and so people can associate that green color with Voce, which is exactly what we want. So when they see other ads from us or emails or whatever, and they see that green, they automatically make that identification that, oh, okay, this is the company that I'm interested in working with. Okay, so now we have time down, and now we want to do money up. So let me load in my money, right? So I got the money right here. And now we're going to use the same arrow, so I'm just going to copy and paste it, right? And now I can just flip it around, and now it's money up, right? So now we got that. Perfect. Look at that. Voce equals time down, money up. Let's just make sure that everything is nice and even. And what we can do is we can actually highlight all of these things, and we can move them around together. So we can make sure that they're like right in the center. Look at that. Perfect. So now they're right in the center. We have a nice professional looking ad that we can use for a Facebook campaign, or we can adjust the size and we can use it for other stuff too. You can throw this in the Google Display Network. You can use it. Actually, 1200 by 628 will also work as a Google responsive image ad. So if you want to load that into Google, you can do that too, which I highly recommend. Consistency across multiple channels is always key. So let's go ahead and just label this. So Voce time savings, something like that. We'll go ahead and save it, and then we can download it as a PNG file or other different files, but for Facebook, PNG is pretty good, so we'll go ahead and download that. And now let's take a look at our finished product here, right? Looks super professional. You know, looks like something that you can throw into an ad. And actually, I've had this running already. So let me show you what that looks like. So I just took a screenshot of the actual ad itself, the desktop version. So here you go. So you have this ad. We're just doing an engagement ad, so it's starting to work. I think we're at like 15 cents in engagement, which I think is pretty decent to start with. But the most important thing you'll notice is that the copy is consistent with the creative. So this is promoting a case study about how SWBC, one of Voce's clients, reduced their invoice production time, right? So time down by 75% and reinvested that saved time into revenue generating activities, right? So money up. And so again, when somebody looks at that image and they read that copy, it clicks, it makes sense. Okay, that V, the Voce V, is equating to saving me time and earning me more money. And so hoping to have some really good results from this ad. And again, there's always, a million different variations and colors and things that you can do. But these are the tools that I like best to go ahead and create professional ad creative. I am not a graphic designer by any stretch. But when I needed it most and I needed to figure out how to do this, these were the tools that were most valuable to me. And like I said, for $12 a month to create almost unlimited pieces of ad creative is almost invaluable. It's totally worth it. So thanks for watching and good luck creating your next ad.